Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Let's give a big clap to TJ and Jason as they give us our announcements. Woo!
Good morning. Join Counselor Jose today at 4 p.m. in the prayer room in Croft Center for Mindful Mondays. Enhance your self-awareness, self-control, concentration, and mental clarity through breathing techniques and guided meditation, and earn 5 CE points for participating.
As we approach 1 month of classes, come spend time reflecting on the beginning of the school year through writing a letter to a parent, friend, or another loved one back home. Tuesday, September 17th at 3 p.m., all are welcome to join in the Smith Center, classroom 105. Writing materials, postage, and envelopes will be provided, along with a few writing prompts for your letter. You get 5 CE points for doing this. Next.
No class this Wednesday, which also means a change in dining hours. Dining hours will be the same as Saturday, which is brunch at 11:30 to 12:30, and dinner is 5 to 6. Next.
Charlie Miller is leading yoga at 11 a.m. in the basement of Herb Hall for Wellness Wednesdays in September. Students can earn 5 CE points for attending. Next.
Lunch and learn with Counselor Jose on September 18th, noon to 1 p.m. in the newcomer conference room next to the dining hall. Bring your lunch and learn about the topic attachment styles. Come to learn how you can connect with others and the ways that you can improve it. Earn 10 CE points for each session you participate.
On Thursday night at 7, we have service at the Villa. Be at the Villa at 7 p.m. Next.
Part of homecoming celebrations is a sidewalk mural from Friesen to Petrie. All are welcome to participate. There are 150 sections, and let's fill them all. Pick up sidewalk chalk from the art studio September 24th to the 25th. Any questions, contact Professor Cross.
Homecoming is September 26th through 29th. This is a great time to invite your family to come and visit. This weekend we'll be highlighting the Performing Arts, Arts and Engineering program. To learn more about the activities this weekend and how to register, go to hesston.edu/homecoming. Next.
Hesston College Theater presents Antigone on September 26th through the 29th in the Black Box Theater. Now for announcements on athletics.
Volleyball took a trip this weekend and won 2 matches at Day Spring Bible College by scores of 3-1 and 3-0. They host Labette this Wednesday at 6:30. Pack the Jost Gym to see them play. The cross-country teams ran at Bethel College on Saturday. The men were 6th out of 14 teams. We do not have a complete women's team. Angelo Jenkins finished 14th in the men's race. Their next meet is October 4th. Men's soccer lost at Southeast Community College and Pratt Community College this last week. On Wednesday, they host Johnson Community College at 7 p.m., and on Friday, they travel to Ottawa. The women's soccer team defeated Southeast Community College. Rena Atoga had a hat trick for the Larks, and Kristen Oliver also scored. On Saturday, the Larks defeated Pratt 4-1. Rena scored 2 goals, and Jules Dean scored twice. The women host Johnson Community College on Wednesday at 5.
Yay, yay for all of our sports team and our theater people and our singers and all of you. And the one who is seated on the throne said, "See, I am making all things new." One of the things that probably needs to be made new, at least in my life, is maybe stronger relationships, maybe a stronger love for myself, maybe some courage to make connections that I need to make. God wants to help all of us to do that. I'd like to start today with prayer. So please pray with me. Lord, you make all things new, and yet some of the bad thinking I have in my mind, and maybe the rest of them too, it's still there. We need your help. We need you to show us the real reality, to help us accept your love, to help us accept your help, and the help of others around us who want to help us so much. Would you please loosen us up inside that we may accept all the wonderful connections you want to make. I ask that you would empower Counselor Jose and that you would just put words in his mouth and help us to receive them and receive your love. Thank you, Lord. Thank you so much. Amen. Let's give a big round of applause to our own Counselor Jose.
Good morning. How's everyone doing? Good. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about connections and why it's important. But first, we're going to do a quick experiment. No words. I simply want you to point. I'm going to call out certain names of groups, and I want you to point if you know where they are, right? Okay? Boys soccer. Baseball. The art kids. Flag football. Volleyball. Faculty or staff? Cool. I'm going to talk to you guys today about connections. I know I didn't get them all. There was a danger in me doing that because people feel left out. If I didn't call you, I apologize. That literally just came to mind as I was sitting there looking around, okay? So I say Hesston, you say college. Hesston. College. Hesston. College. I say Hesston, you say rocks. Hesston. Rocks. Hesston. Rocks. Good. Listen, guys, I'm going to ask, it is exactly 11:07, 23 minutes. That's all I'm asking for. Listen to me. All eyes on me real quick. So I was trained to be a social worker, and they say be comfortable with the silence. I'm okay with silence. And listen, guys, I'm going to sound like a bit, I want to be careful what I say because people are, I don't want to sound like a bad guy, but I really believe that what I'm going to share today is important, and I'm just asking you to give me the attention for 23 minutes. Fair? Because this is Suicide Prevention Month. And suicide numbers have gone up. They've gone up for men. It's the largest percentage right now of people taking their own life. There are certain people groups that used to not be affected as much, and now they're doing it. And so part of the reason for that is because we're isolating and we're trying to get that need met through ways that are not met. Imagine, everyone pick up your cell phone for me. I'm not going to tell you to do anything bad to it. Pick it up. So imagine trying to have a relationship with our cell phone, whether it be through social media, Zoom. We were not made for that. Something happens when I stand in front of a person and I say, and she says, and she smiles, and I smile, or she says something different. Something happens. There is a co-regulation of the emotions that I have, that I need. We were made for relationship. Repeat that after me. We were made for relationship. We were made for relationship. We were made for connection. We were made for connection. This is the problem. Shame. Everyone say shame. Shame. Shame is a thing that we experience many times a day, right? I tend to over-prepare because I am really scared of looking foolish. Like, I got my presentation ready, I put it in big font because I get nervous and I'm not real sure about seeing it because I don't want to look foolish. I don't want to shame myself, right? I showed up early. The guys behind will tell you. 15 minutes before I was looking for the clipboard, guess what? Nowhere to be found. So I take off from my office, it was sitting on my desk, right? There are little things that we experience every day, multiple times a day, that if we allow them to, they cause shame. Depending on our life, things that we've experienced, some of those can be stronger. Some of them we can shake off, laugh about, some of them we cannot, okay? What helps us connect with others is relationship. That's why I asked you guys to look around. Soccer team sits together because they're comfortable. These are the people that they're, in sports team, I call it, they go to battle with. Baseball, the arts, whether you want to believe it or not, the arts also go to battle. I showed up yesterday for something called Line Lab. I found out that all our lines should be memorized by today. I thought it was next Monday. I needed them to help regulate, right? When I learned that dance for Lark's Got Talent, I was sharing it with Michael, and Michael said, oh, you guys watch video too, just like the sports teams. We're not that different. We're really not. But if we believe that we're different or broken, then what ends up happening is we isolate, and that becomes a downward spiral that leads us to places like contemplating taking our own life. If anyone knows this, I will never be able to live with it. Addiction, multiple things. Fair? So I'm going to my notes because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So what happens when I interact with another person is we learn to co-regulate. Use the word co-regulate for me. Co-regulate, say it for me. That simply means that I am able to have an emotion, she's able to have an emotion, we go back and forth, we can laugh, we can cry, whatever it is. You guys are really good at it. How do I know? Because I hear these stories of students going through a difficult time. If you're a Lark leader, raise your hand for me real quick. Let me see your Lark leaders. Good. So we're doing something brand new that we've never done before. We have wellness assistants, ministry assistants, and community assistants. The positions are designed to help build community. Because without community, we suffer. This is where our kids start to go home. This is where the kid says, no one's connecting with me. Guess what? You're not the only one. So in case you're not aware, something that happens when you put yourself in an unusual situation is you become a lot more hyper alert. Because you guys are new. Some of you guys are freshmen. All you guys are freshmen, I believe. So then you become really aware of what's happening with you. So you become like, I remember the first week school started, we were purposeful about being out because y'all didn't know where certain buildings were. And the fact that someone showed you where that building was helpful. I have heard stories this year about when students arrived last year and who was there to welcome them. I remember the names. Caroline was one. I remember when I showed up, she showed me to my room. She helped me get situated. So it is the connection part is so important, but what happens is shame holds us back. So what we're going to do is, okay, how do you build relationships? This is fair. In interacting with others, we learn to regulate our emotions by giving and receiving empathy, by giving and receiving correction. Okay, my son just started playing tackle football. So I was watching him on the sideline. He had a concussion a few weeks ago, not for playing football, but falling off a slide. I know. I'm like, we paid $200 for it? Anyway, that's a different story. I was watching him. He was on the sidelines talking to all the boys, playing. And then the coach said, hey, I need you in. He put him in the game. My son was not ready. The other kid was ready, right? It was the defense. He got a little rattled. And then all day we heard about number three. Number three did it wrong. Number three. So we had to help him co-regulate. Yes, he did get a flag. The other kid did get a flag. Yes, true. But also, you weren't ready. I was watching you. Then we worked through some forgiveness stuff. But that had to happen. That happens in relationship. And that happens with you guys daily. Fair? Okay. So we learn we can be angry, sad, frustrated, joyful, and be okay in the presence of others. And some of us, we say it's not okay. But how does that happen, guys? That happens by regularly interacting with others and realizing, hey, that person is not going to make fun of me. Or, hey, that person can laugh with me. It happens on regular interactions through life. So I want to make an argument for being purposeful in your interactions. What does that mean? I want to encourage you to attend CAB events. I want to encourage you to attend events set up by WAs, MAs, and CAs. Guess what, guys? I supervise the WAs. We ask them to set up 2 events a week. I learned this from Nick. If no one shows up, you do it anyway for 15 minutes, because whatever you're doing, you probably need to. I want to encourage you guys, show up, bring people, go to worship, join a club, attend the prayer room. Be purposeful about seeking out people that may benefit from you when you're strong, or reaching out to others when you're not. Be willing to be real with your group of friends. And I put a little parentheses on this part. That's earned. If you're like, no one ever shares with me, the question might be why, right? There's a scripture that says, don't throw your pearls before swine. I agree with that. I tell that people all the time. Don't share your story with people that are not worthy of your story. Like if they're going to make fun or make light or not listen or be looking at your phone, find people that will listen to your story. Is that fair? I remember one specific bad day that I was having. I want to be careful with time because I'm going to ask you guys to do a few things. I was having a really bad day, okay? I like to pride myself on being prepared. This specific day, I couldn't find my glasses. I purposely have 2 pair of glasses, so I always have a backup. This specific day, my kids were home from school, and I was going to bring them to the office with me. So I'm feeling my anxiety rise because I need to go to work. I need to take my kids. I can't find my glasses. Do I feel safe enough putting my kids in my car without glasses? Do I call my wife and say, come home from work? Do I call Michael and say, I need to take a day off? And I send a text to Abby, Michael, and Nick because they've lived in the area where I say, is there any place I can get glasses done today? Right? Nick sent me a little picture that he took from his phone. This place does 24-hour, this place does same-day glasses. Guess what happened to me? I felt my tension dropping. We were co-regulating. I needed someone to see that I am not okay. To him, it may have been boom, sent. To him, it may have been nothing. To me, it was a big deal. Same day, I'm going to the cafeteria because my kids are here. I want to feed them lunch before I take them to the fair to meet their grandparents because they want to spend a lot of money at the fair, so let me feed them first. So I want to go see what they're having for lunch. I want to get one of those little boxes loaded with pizza, take it to my office so I don't have to use 3 of my lunches, right? As I get in line, Jacob sees me and says, hey, you want him to eat? Use 2 of my lunches. Click, click. He gave me 2 of his lunches without even asking. We were co-regulating, he didn't even know it. There are things like that happening every day. And I'm going to ask you guys in a minute to think about some of those things. I'm going to ask you guys to write them down and we're going to remember. Fair? Okay. So now I'm going to invite Michael up because he's going to share a short story about co-regulation and people that were, the connectedness that they had when they really needed it.
Named that concept of sharing something and being really, really terrified about shame or about things that happen in your life that you don't always want to share. You want to be careful with those things. So I will name that. Like, this is a story I have shared. I do share it with people, but it is a story that still is kind of a little bit, again, you'll see why it touches a nerve. So just heads up, if I crack just a little bit, hopefully that'll make sense. But I want to start my story off with a quick little, I don't want to call it a joke. It's not really a joke, but it's kind of a joke, okay? So there's a man, and he is at home, and it starts to rain, and it starts to rain really, really hard, and there starts to be a flood, and eventually the waters keep rising and rising and rising, and eventually he ends up on his roof. And he prays to God and says, God, please, like, I need your help. Come save me. Like, please, I love you. You love me. Please come save me. And just then, a guy comes with a kayak and says, hey, I got a spot in my kayak. Jump in. Let's go. And the guy says, no. God is going to come get me. God will save me. I'm good. God's got this. So the kayak goes. The water keeps rising. The guy keeps getting nervous. Like, God, like, come on. Like, if you love me, you will save me. And then a boat comes by. And they say, God, hey, we got a spot. Jump on the boat. Let's go. And he says, no. God has got me. God will save me. I've got this. Right? Water keeps rising. God, come on. Like, it is touching my feet. Please come save me. I need this. I love you. Please save me. And just then the Coast Guard helicopter comes by and they say, hey, get in. Let's go. We got you. Let's save you. And he says, no, God has got me. God will save me. Okay? The man ends up drowning. He gets to heaven and he goes, God, where were you? What in the heck? I prayed. I said I loved you. I thought you loved me. Like, what happened? He's like, I sent you a kayak and I sent you a boat and I sent you a helicopter. What more do you want? And I share that story because I think sometimes we will pray to God and what we are expecting is some like mystical thing to happen or some like unknown thing, and we'll just instantly feel something taken away or something will go away or will be healed or whatever those things are. And I want to be careful because some people will do that. Some people will pray and it'll be taken away, and that is awesome. And then there are some people who will pray and pray and pray, and they will be looking for something like that, and what comes is something very different, and maybe they don't recognize that. And for me, that's where I felt like my story in particular goes. So about 14 years ago, it'll be 14 years in January, my wife and I got married, and it was awesome, and it was fantastic, and it was great, and we made the personal choice to get married in the middle of grad school, because right after that, we would then, get jobs, go figure out what we wanted to do. That was an incredibly stressful time in life, like incredibly stressful, nuts. And at that time, my wife, Jen, started to really, really struggle with some of those aspects. And eventually did fall into a deep depression, like deep, dark hole, I've explained to people, we were spending 21 hours a day awake because sleep meant that you would just think of all the different ways that you might die by suicide, right? And so we didn't want to do that, and so we would stay awake 21 hours a day. It was brutal. It was awful. On top of that, I had a job that was really awesome. I could get 40 hours of work in about 2 days because I got paid to sleep, because when I would go to work, the people had developmental disabilities they couldn't regulate, and so sometimes they wanted to literally try to kill you every day, so you got paid to sleep. So I could get 40 hours really fast, but that meant that I was leaving my wife 2 days a week at a place where she did not want to be, and I sure as heck didn't want that to be the case either. And we had this incredibly small yet miraculous thing happen. In the moment, we were not seeing it. All we were seeing was all the terrible things every day, all the awful stuff, to the point of we were praying for 10 minutes. Can we get 10 minutes? 10 minutes where we don't feel like this. 10 minutes where this isn't happening. That's where we were at. But every Thursday night when I would leave, my wife would get a phone call from a friend that she was going to grad school, and her friend would say, okay, dinner's at 6:30, we'll see you by 6:45. If you don't, we're going to come find you. And so every Thursday and Friday night, my wife had a place to stay at someone else's house. Now, remind you, these people were also newlyweds. They were also they had no reason to open their house, they had no reason to do that, but every Thursday and Friday night, for 6 months, these humans opened their house. And again, most oftentimes it was just they had dinner, they watched movies, Jen slept in their spare bedroom. It wasn't really that big of a deal for them, but for us it was literally what we would consider on the back end life-saving sort of stuff. And again, small connections. So like when Jose's talking about like connections and what do you do and what do you do with those things, like sometimes they're really small things and sometimes they're really big things and sometimes you're not thinking it's that big of a thing. But I will tell you, like, there have been times in my life and in my wife's life where those little connections, like they weren't small, they were literally life-saving. And so, again, as you think about those things, getting involved on campus, getting involved with people, talking with people, sharing with people, like those connections might not be big now, but they might be much, much, much larger than anything you could envision moving forward. So, I wanted to keep my story short. There's a lot more to that story. If you ever really want to dive into that, again, it's a pretty hard story for me, and I try to keep it pretty surface level, but if you ever want to talk about it more, like, don't ever hesitate to reach out. I would love to talk about it more if you want to. So I'll pass it back to Jose.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. Okay, I need, if I ask you as a LARC leader to come help me, go ahead and come up. We're going to do something real quick, guys. I'm coming to find my phone because that's where my music is. I may have left it up here. No, it isn't there. Is it there? Everyone give it up for Mitch. Thank you. So listen, guys. We're almost there, I promise. This is what I'm going to ask you to do real quick. I'm going to ask you to do one of three things. Everybody I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to share, but I'm not going to put you on the spot. Listen to what I'm saying, because I promise my goal would never be to embarrass. So first of all, everybody put on number one. These are your three choices of what you can do. Give me your semicolon story. If you're not familiar with the semicolon, usually it means that the sentence could have ended there, but it chose to go on. So if you were at a point where you felt like, I want to end my life, but I chose to go on, I want to hear that. Fair? Okay. Second thing, hey, you guys, LARC leaders, come up. I want them to come to you. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Second thing is, tell me when someone was a safe place for you or you were for someone else. That's number two. Number three, tell me about a commitment you're willing to make for yourself to work on connectedness, okay? If you're a LARC leader and you want to come up, or staff, I'd like to have more people because I want these passed out quickly. Listen, this is the part that you're not going to feel comfortable with, but I'm okay with that. Listen to this. I want you to come up, get a pencil, 2 Post-its, and sit somewhere different than where you're sitting. I don't want you to sit near people that know you, and here's why. Because there's this fear of, can they see what I'm writing? I want you to be able to have complete freedom to express yourself on that piece of paper. Fair? Okay, you guys come up. We're going to play music. It is not going to be long because I need to have you guys out at a certain... So everyone up, come get 2 Post-its and a pencil and sit somewhere different. So what were they again? Tell me your semicolon story. Tell me when someone was a safe place for you or you were for someone else. Tell me your semicolon story. When maybe you were thinking about ending your life but chose not to. Number 2, tell me when someone was a safe place for you or you were for someone else. Number 3, tell me about a commitment you're willing to make for yourself. I say, Hesston,